Welcome back to the Brandon Parnes Hour of Fun. You guys are in for a treat. On the phone, I have Nickelodeon and Game Show royalty. Mr. Marc Summers is here. How are you, Marc?
Well, that's embarrassing, but I'm fine. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Yes. Now, I am in the generation. I was born in December of '94, and I missed actually getting to see Double Dare on the as it was airing first run. But I grew up starting with Double Dare 2000, which I know you had a hand in. You were a creative consultant on that?
Yes, I was, and they didn't listen to a word I said, and if they did, they would have been on longer. Yeah, there were too many cooks in the kitchen on that deal, and Jason, who did a magnificent job, was being controlled. He had an IFB in his ear from the producer, and I kept telling him to take it out and let him do what he did, because he nailed it in the audition, but unfortunately they never let him be who he was, and he's a very talented man. So I felt horrible for him, and the show just didn't work. When we did it, it was all free form. Nobody was telling me what to say or do. We just kind of made it happen off the top of our heads. And when he took over, we auditioned a lot of people, and I ultimately selected him, Jason Harris, because I thought he was the best, and he is good and would have been great if they let the man do what we hired him to do. But so many times networks go in there and screw that up, so I felt bad for him. So, he's got the legacy of trying to follow me and then, unfortunately not working. And, I had this long reign. We did 8 years we did like 525 episodes. And for better or for worse, ours is the one that seems to be most embedded in people's minds.
Yeah, but what was funny of that, me being like a 5-year-old kid, I still thought Double Dare 2000 was magical. I thought Jason was doing a great job, and I still very enjoyed it. But then I grew up on the original Double Dare through Nickelodeon Games and Sports, the digital channel, and
right.
Just was open to this world of you and this world of the original Double Dare. And I just thought even it was just as, if not more, fantastic. Do you have a favorite episode that you remember shooting, or a favorite moment from an episode?
I don't. We had so many great moments and so much fun. First, when it was originally with the kids, and then when we added the parents, that was another level. But, the behind-the-scenes people, Mike Klinghoffer, who was our original director and producer, Dana Calderwood, I think Alan Silverberg, our head writer, was part of the key to the success. He knew my sense of humor. He wrote into my sense of humor. And then we started creating bits. And it was the people who put the show together that made it so good and so enjoyable. And I think every day was like, quite honestly, going to the best party anybody could. And here's the thing, we ate, slept, and breathed that show. We'd go and shoot 5 or 6 in a day, then go back to the hotel and watch each show every night and take notes to figure out how to make it better the next day. And I think it was that kind of dedication that made the show work.
Wow, that is incredible. So there was Double Dare, Super Sloppy Double Dare, Super Special Double Dare that only happened a few times, and then Family Double Dare. What was your favorite iteration of the show, if you have one?
I think the original one, when we did Double Dare, and it was, 2 kids against 2 kids, that was in its simplest and most pure form, and I think that worked great. You bring in parents, and parents want to win certain prizes, and we had to separate people backstage when a kid blew an obstacle and the dad didn't get the car, or they didn't get the trip to, wherever we were going to send them. And it got to be kind of angry and hostile, and I think kids versus kids was the best version of the show.
And I remember, because I watched a few episodes before we started, and I just remember going back to watching it when I was a kid. I don't know about you, but when I talked to Jeff and when I talked to Justin, Jeff Suppin and Justin Willman, of course, I remember telling them, like, there's probably a kid out there, and I was this kid, who watches Double Dare, goes on the playground, and then plays Double Dare, maybe hosts Double Dare, says, I'm Marc Summers, and then tries to get, because I remember I would be Marc Summers and try to get kids to run the playground like an obstacle course. Does that weight kind of, when you were doing Double Dare, did that weight kind of fall on your shoulders at all?
I never thought about it, and then all of a sudden I started hearing those things, and that were people during Halloween were dressing up as me, and going out and Hollywood trick-or-treating with me in a, coat and tie and sneakers and, people wearing Double Dare T-shirts and stuff. When you're making it, these aren't things that you're really thinking about. You're just trying to do the best show possible. And sometimes you're lucky enough to catch lightning in a bottle. I've worked on a few shows that have been magical, such as this. And, right now I'm producing a show called Restaurant Impossible for Robert Irvine, and that's one of those magic in a bottle times. Double Dare, certainly a magic in a bottle kind of program. Quite honestly, when we were doing Unwrapped on Food Network for 13, 14 years, a similar thing. And I think it's about all the chemistry of all the people who put it together and the camaraderie that you have and the way the host interacts with those people. And you can't sit in a room and plan it and say, wow, this is going to be the most magical time ever. It either happens or it doesn't. If it happens once, you're lucky. If it happens twice, it's unbelievable. I've had it happen like 3 times, and I'm just, I can't believe it. So it's kind of cool. I love it. I love this business, and I love the fact that I feel like I've never worked a day in my life that, I go and play television every day, and how many people get to say that?
Yeah, that's great. And so, because like I told you, I was watching a few episodes before we started, and one thing that kind of caught my eye is there would be some questions that would be pretty super easy that they would do the dare, then the double dare, then the physical challenge. That one was like, where's the Eiffel Tower located? And they didn't know it was Paris. But there's other questions where it was on Family Double Dare. The question was like, who plays Franz on Saturday Night Live? And I'm like, how is a kid going to know this? And they would dare and double dare, then take the physical challenge. And I was cycling in my head, were there any questions that the writers came up with to kind of trigger a physical challenge?
Oh, sure. Here's how we wrote it. The first question was a gimme. We wanted the team to put points on the board. The second question was what we called a 50-50. They'll probably get it, but if they don't, that's fine. We'll go to a physical challenge. Third question, because the kids wanted physical challenge, was a difficult question. If you're 11 years old, chances are you're not watching Saturday Night Live, and you wouldn't know the name of those people. Or we'd say, who wrote the book Great Expectations, something that we knew at that age they would not have known. And so we would try to get them to go to a physical challenge. So that's how it was. And then the pattern continued. Next one, you wanted them to answer a question after a physical challenge. And the next one was a 50-50, and hopefully the next one was a physical challenge. And so writing the questions and putting those packets together took hours. Unbelievable hours. And then sometimes you'd have really bright kids and it answered everything and it would throw it off. And then you could put the easiest questions possible in a packet, and, we do 5 physical challenges in a row. So, you can't predict what a kid's going to know and not know. Plus, they get on camera and they're nervous. When we first started and they didn't know what it was a little bit easier. Then the show becomes this nationwide hit, and it's the biggest thing in the world of your childhood to be on it. And now you think you're going to be all cool, calm, and collected. You walk out, you see the audience, you see the obstacles. Marc Summers walks out and they go, for the love of God, what have I gotten myself into? And they start shaking. It's like the obstacle course. We would tell them what to do. Don't put your foot here. Look where this is. Look where that is. And then we'd say, on your mark, get set, go. And it's like they lost everything that we told them, and they get 4 obstacles sometimes. So, bottom line is they were kids. They wanted to have fun. Although they wanted that trip to Space Camp or wanted the new Apple computer, they didn't really care. They just wanted to throw green liquids at each other and, and get messy. And that was the other cool part of the show.
Yeah, and that's what I loved. And I also loved you because I actually, when I grow up, I want to be like a game show or a television or a variety show host. And radio is that kind of launching platform for me. And another thing about me is I'm obsessed with Nickelodeon's big Kids' Choice Awards that they did. You were at the very first Kids' Choice Awards in 1988.
Yep.
Can you just kind of give me an idea what that was like?
Well, a lot of questions there. First of all, I'm always flattered when I go into a radio station or TV station or talk to a gentleman like you and says, the reason I want to do what I want to do is because you look like you were having so much fun. I mean, that's the best compliment in the world. That's number one. Number two, the first Kids' Choice Awards was created by a guy by the name of Richard Crystal. Richard Crystal is Billy's brother, and he pitched the show initially to Nickelodeon, and they claimed not to want to do it. The next thing he knew, he turned on and saw it. So he won a nice little chunk of change based on that, from what I understand the story goes. It was, nobody knew what the hell it was. I mean, we shot it, I think, at Universal Studios in L.A. I think I did the first couple of them. And it grew into what it grew into today. Now it's like, cutthroat time to even get in the place and get a ticket and all that other kind of good stuff. So fascinating how it's become, the Academy Awards for children, which is kind of fun, I guess. It was a great concept, and it was exciting then, and I guess if you're of the proper age, keep in mind, I was 34 when I went on television doing that show. I'm now 64, so the thought of what that even is and what kids identify with, it's kind of foreign to me now. So I watch it from a distance and hear about it and know kids who still, or parents who call me today to see if they can get their kids in. And as I tell them, I have nothing to do with the network or anything to do with Nickelodeon anymore, so I can't help them. But I know it's still a gigantic thing. And now they do it with sports, I think, as well.
The Kids' Choice Sports Awards. They just announced Russell Wilson to be the host.
Yep.
So we have about 30 seconds left in this segment. We're going to be right back with a little bit more of Marc Summers. Again, Marc, I want to thank you for being here. Where can people find you on the tweets?
Well, I have a strange Twitter handle. It's IBATVMC. IBATVMC. That's my Twitter account, and you can reach me there.
Okay, and we will be right back with more of Mr. Double Dare himself, Marc Summers, right after this, here on the Brandon Parnes Hour of Fun on ECAV Radio. Welcome back to the Brandon Parnes Hour of Fun. I have one of my childhood heroes, Marc Summers, on the phone with me today. How are you doing, Marc?
Doing great.
Before we let you go, there's one piece of advice, because I told you I want to be a TV host when I grow up. What's the biggest advice you could give me?
Get in front of as many audiences as you possibly can. I started doing magic when I was about 11 years old and started performing anywhere that I could. Then I became a regular on a children's television show doing magic. I would host. I would MC. I became an actor in local theater. I did, first show I ever did was Bye Bye Birdie. I played one of the kids. I think you have to feel as comfortable on stage as you possibly can, and whether it's for money or it's for free, until you get comfortable, it's never going to happen. So when I auditioned for Double Dare when I was all of 33 years old, believe it or not, they threw me out there, and I knew what to do. I knew how to handle people, kids, adults, and I was in a comfort zone. If I would have gotten that same audition 10 years earlier, chances are I would not have been prepared. Keep in mind, when I first came out here, I started to do stand-up comedy. I worked at the Comedy Store. I became a regular in 1976 with Dave Letterman and Robin Williams and Gary Shandling and Jay Leno. And so I went from being a professional magician to a stand-up comic to a warm-up announcer on TV shows like Soap and Star Search and Alice and What's Happening Now and Webster. And then when I had the opportunity, half the fun is getting there, but you don't know it at the time. But you got to get ready for those auditions. And a lot of times you audition for things you're really not prepared for. But at age 33, when I had the opportunity for Double Dare, I had been working on game shows. I had been writing game shows. I had been, around them my whole professional career at that point. And so it just seemed like a natural thing. So I just think, practice, 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 and you'll get there.
Okay, well, thank you so much again, Mr. Marc Summers. Here is Marc. Would you like to request a song?
Oh, gee, what's your format? What kind of stuff do you guys play? I don't even know.
Anything from NSYNC to Led Zeppelin, so anything in between.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Let's do a Whole Lot of Love. Do you know who does that?
Is that Led Zeppelin?
Yeah.
Yeah, we will do Whole Lot of Love. Marc Summers' request here on the Brandon Parnes Hour of Fun. Whole Lot of Love, Led Zeppelin.